What's up? We finna have us a bill, man. This bill finna deal with logic. Logic is actually under the branch of philosophy, right? So academic classes, especially at the college level, is very illuminating, man. If we would have received them in high school, a lot of individuals would be enlightened to a certain degree, right? So you think about logic. We all are endowed with the mental faculty to think and to reason. So logic is actually taught as a subject matter under the branch of philosophy. Now, when you get to college, I'm not speaking of trade classes. I ain't speaking about a mechanic, construction worker, or electrician, right? Though that's all a certain body of knowledge. But when you go into being a scientist, a physician, geologist, anthropologist, all these type of things, everything begins to be very interesting because essentially, if you're in the field of botany, things like that, essentially what you begin to learn is you begin to gain the knowledge of self, right? If I was a biologist, if I was a psychologist, therapy work, get you to learn about the mind, the body, how you operate, okay? You have all these different areas, a lot of the areas of which I'm speaking of that's very illuminating are considered to be scientists. Philosophy is a scientist. Mathematician is a scientist, you know? Science just means knowledge. Social science, right? Behaviorals, psychologists, social psychologists. All these things is very illuminating. So academic classes, we're gonna speak of logic. We all endowed with the mental faculty to reason and what this all entails. I'm finna speak to you about logic, which reached its culmination and summation during the Greek period with the philosopher Aristotle. So you had three prominent successors: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, right? Socrates encouraged us to study words, truly take a second and really study words, like what is the true meaning of justice or love and righteousness and things like that. Like really examine the definition of words. Words have meaning, all right? Socrates was quoted, known for his famous quote that he's not aware of anything but his total ignorance. And he encourages us to study words. Then you had Plato. Plato, he was known for forming the Platonic solids, which deal with the things other than the circle, the square and the triangle, right? When you get into them, the decahedrons and other shapes have it, or whatever have you, right? He's also known for what's called Neoplatism, which is the concept of oneness, all right? Just like monotheistic religions talk about one God, Plato, philosopher, concluded that everything can be deduced to its least common denominator, which is one. What is this saying? Essentially, she's saying, is there anything other than what constitute and make up the universe, right? Everything can be deduced down from one, coming from one springboard. You have Platonic love, which is a concept of being attracted to the attributes or traits of a person that you might not see in yourself, all right? So he was known for Platonic love. So Aristotle, he have a body of work. We hear about these people, but we don't know about their literature and actually their body of work, which is very illuminating, right? Very enlightened subjects. So logic is under the branch of philosophy. Okay, one of the body of works, which is many that these people are responsible for, Socrates, you had a dialects of Socrates, which is certain dialogues he had between different entities. And a dialect is a conversation between two entities, which the process of questioning leads to objective fact, all right? By finding inconsistencies, once you continuously question someone, if it falls short of being consistent and it start having contradictions, all right? And this is the method of getting to objective facts or objective truth, all right? Objective truth means it's not subject to his opinion, your opinion. That means it's fact or truth for the both of you, no matter how you feel about it, right? So with Aristotle, I want to talk about a body of his work called Organing. And in this Organing, you'll see the relativity and why it's even important, right? It has 6 chapters or 6 titles, all right? And the first title is called Categories. Second is On Interpretation. Then you have Prior Analytics, Post Analytics, Topics, and Refutation, all right? I like to look at refutation to be basically like rebuttal. So nonetheless, in the chapter Categories, it speaks about how everything in the universe is categorized already. Every contemplative, objective thing that you can think about is already categorized. There's nothing new under the sun. Like you find in the religious biblical text under the chapter of the Ecclesiastes, its opening lines is that there's nothing new under the sun. And in that chapter of the Bible, it contrasts the rich man versus the poor man, and also the wise versus the fool, okay? So the first chapter deal with categorize, letting you know it's nothing new under the sun. Everything has already been categorized. So I spoke about academic classes. If somebody go study this branch, get this degree of knowledge, they just learning what's already set up in that subject matter for them to elevate, pass tests, and be qualified as a physician, a doctor, scientist, all that other stuff, right? So it's nothing new under the sun. That's categories. The second chapter deal with what's called On Interpretation. It's talking about the interpretation of things. And on interpretation, you have the understanding of grammar and the defining of short terms, adjectives, nouns, concept called universals, negations, things like that, right? Universals is them things that's not, it's things that you see within yourself that's not exclusive to you that exist in others, or external appearances, which would be shapes, certain attributes, characteristics that's not exclusive to you. And that is termed universals, all right? Like universal concepts, universal truths, universal motifs, blueprints, so to speak, all right? So everybody got concepts of justice. Everybody got concept of right and wrong and morality and things like that. So them are called universals. In psychology, they have what's called the collective unconscious, all right? And it's talking about the archetypes of the collective unconscious. Universal motifs, like I said, concepts that's found world over. All right, so that deal with On Interpretations, that second chapter. The third chapter deal with prior analytics. So if we know it's nothing new under the sun, analytics essentially mean to solve problems. It's information, data that we're supposed to use to solve problems. It's a such thing as truth and falsehood, right? Truth is supported by the amount of data and information somebody is able to supply you to substantiate a claim, a fact, or a truth. It's evidence. And falsehood, to be false for the lack of facts and evidence that go along with it. So that's called prior analytics. It's letting you know essentially you pulling from data or information that's already been established since time immemorial, right? So Ancient people already contemplated nature, knowledge of self, concept of the universe, God, and all that's foreign and in between. Post-analytics is dealing with using the third chapter of prior analytics. And post-analytics, they speak about what's called syllogism. Syllogism is a form of reasoning, deductive reasoning, and how one draw and come to a conclusion by using two statements, two premises to draw a third one, all right, which would be the conclusion. So, for example, all men are mortal. That's one statement or one proposition, right? John is a man. Okay, that's the second proposition. So from them two propositions, you're able to form a third one, which would be the conclusion that John is immortal. So all men are mortal. John is a man is the second statement. And the conclusion you can draw from them two premises is that John is a man. John is immortal, right? Or for another example would be all animals have four legs, so to speak, or all how it go? It say all animals, all dogs are animals, right?